What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today is a brand new video of a brand new series, The Wacky World of Godzilla. This idea for this kind of series for me has been brewing for like the last year or so. I've kept talking about it, I've kept thinking about it, but while I'm doing that stuff, I'm wasting my time by not just making these videos and doing it. So you've seen the title. This is episode 1 of The Wacky World of Godzilla, and we're just going to be doing a series breakdown of the entire Godzilla series. We're going to look at each era that make up the Japanese Godzilla series, with some of the other stuff in there as well, because it's part of the timeline, of course. So by the end of this video, I'm hoping that you will have more of a basic understanding of where Godzilla came from and where in the timeline each of these films sits in the general kind of, you know, release chronologically, whatever, if you get my drift. I just want to preface before we kick this off, I'm not an expert. I'm still fairly a noob. I'm still learning this stuff myself as well. I just have an immense passion for this character, for these movies, and I would just love to just you know, project that in your direction, and hopefully maybe get you on board with checking out some of the original Japanese movies in the Godzilla franchise. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the wacky world of Godzilla. With one exhale, buildings melt and cities fail. Born from nuclear energy, Godzilla will extinct humanity. So, the original Godzilla films began with the original Gojira in 1954, and it would span what has become known as the Showa era. Now, the Showa era of Godzilla movies featured 15 feature films spanning from 1954 all the way to 1975, concluding with the film Terror of Mechagodzilla. Now, that chunk of movies would be basically is known as pretty much by a lot of people as the classic era. Mostly Godzilla became more of a hero character, more of a child-friendly character. There's a lot of goofiness in the Showa era and a lot of just heart and charm that I absolutely love in the Showa era. And yeah, that's where a lot of the love for the early Godzilla stuff lies. And also it's what can turn off some people as well, because it's, like I said, it's very silly, it gets very goofy. The original 1954 Godzilla film is very bleak and very dire in its tone, but then, you know, once we get like King Kong versus Godzilla and we go on from there, it becomes quite a family friendly, silly and a very Japanese affair in the Showa era. The Showa era Godzilla films are as follows: Godzilla 1954, also known as Godzilla King of the Monsters in the United States. Godzilla Raids Again. King Kong versus Godzilla. Godzilla versus Mothra. Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. Invasion of the Astro Monster. Ebirah, Horror of the Deep. Son of Godzilla. Destroy All Monsters. Godzilla All Monsters Attack, also known as Godzilla's Revenge in the United States. Godzilla versus Hedorah, also known as Godzilla versus the Smog Monster in the United States. Godzilla versus Gigan. Godzilla versus Megalon. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And to cap it all off, the final Showa film in the Showa era is Terror of Mechagodzilla. After the Showa era, it would be a lengthy 9 years until we would see Godzilla again, especially when it concerns the Japanese audience. We wouldn't get a new Godzilla film until 1984 with the pseudo remake of the original film, just simply titled Godzilla. It was renamed Return of Godzilla when it was put out into the West. So if you're looking to get it on DVD or Blu-ray, just look up Return of Godzilla and you'll find that one. But yeah, Godzilla 1984 would be the first movie in what is known as the Heisei era, and the Heisei era spanned 7 feature films from 1984 until 1995, and it concluded with Godzilla versus Destroyer Yes, one of my favourites actually. Godzilla's design is more consistent this time around. He's meaner. The more kind of silly, goofy stuff has kind of gone away, and they've gone more kind of, these are a bit more darker in tone. They got more serious, narrative threads in them. And overall, the 7 movies in the Heisei era are some of the best kaiju films ever, in my opinion. But I feel like the fans as well just love the Heisei era for its kind of like consistent tone across the 7 movies. And also Godzilla just looks like an absolute badass in these movies. The costume design has stepped up to like the nth degree. It's one of those things that you see as you watch these movies going from 1954 through the Showa era and into the Heisei era. You will notice the progression of technology, the progression of suit design, and the suitmation that these actors in these suits have to go through to do the performances for Godzilla and the other monsters involved. The Heisei era was a great era for Godzilla, in my opinion. The movies in the Godzilla Heisei era is as follows: Godzilla 1984, also known as Godzilla 1985 or The Return of Godzilla, Godzilla vs Biollante, Godzilla vs King Ghidorah, Godzilla and Mothra, The Battle for Earth, Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla 2, and concluding the Heisei era is Godzilla vs Destroyer. So the Heisei era ended in 1995, and then Hollywood attempts their first crack at adapting the character to a more Western audience. TriStar Pictures and Roland Emmerich produced Godzilla from 1998. Godzilla 1998 would be just a major departure from what was established by Toho when it concerns the characterization of Godzilla. And because of that, there was major fan demand for a new Toho Godzilla. And due to that fan demand, Toho delivered when they released Godzilla 2000 in 1999. Now, Godzilla 2000 would be the first movie in the aptly dubbed Millennium Era of Godzilla movies. The Millennium Era would span 6 feature films across 6 years from 1999 to 2004, and it would conclude with Godzilla Final Wars. It was celebrating 50 years of the King of the Monsters. That is insane. 50 years Godzilla had been going strong up until 2004. The Millennium Era Godzilla films are as follows: Godzilla 2000, also known as Godzilla Millennium, Godzilla vs Mechagodzilla, Godzilla, Mothra and King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack, Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, Godzilla Tokyo SOS. To conclude the Millennium Era, we have Godzilla Final Wars. It will be 10 years until Godzilla would show up again in any form, and it would be Hollywood's second stab at a adaptation for the Western audience. It will be Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures' attempt at a movie simply called Godzilla. So Godzilla 2014 was such a huge hit, it created the Monsterverse shared universe, a film universe by Warner Brothers and Legendary that would kind of bring together Godzilla, some of the Godzilla's most famous foes and allies, and of course King Kong, brought King Kong back as well. The Monsterverse and Godzilla 2014 in particular created renewed interest in the King of the Monsters, and Toho wasn't going to sit around and twiddle their thumbs and not respond with a traditional Japanese Godzilla movie. So in 2016, Toho delivered Shin Godzilla. Shin Godzilla would be the first film in what has become known as the Reiwa era. Now, the Reiwa era has kind of almost like a mixed reception over the last few years. It has been the most experimental period for Godzilla. Shin Godzilla, which was very different and experimental and tried to be a bit more, show the political side of the Godzilla attack and the Godzilla chaos. 3 animated films and an anime series, and later this year, 2023, there is going to be a brand new Reiwa era Godzilla movie coming out called Godzilla -1. Godzilla -1 will be only the second traditional live action Godzilla movie to be released by Toho since 2004's Final Wars. So that's where we are with the Godzilla series. There's like 35 films across almost 70 years. It is one of the most prolific movie characters of all time, and Japan sees Godzilla as almost an institution. You insult Godzilla, you're insulting Japan. It's like a national treasure to them. And I've always said in my previous videos when I'm showcasing Godzilla stuff that they've always been very tight-lipped and very kind of, you know, they've got the key in their grip of the hand because they don't want to hand the keys to, they're very reluctant about handing the keys over to different people, especially people to make their own Godzilla films. And from what I've seen from the Godzilla -1 trailer that we saw recently, it looks incredible, by the way. It looks like they've really given the reins to the guy who's directed it. Apparently he's directed it, he's written it, and he's doing the VFX, which is insane to think about. And the VFX looks damn good to me. So I'm excited for that one. It's a really exciting time to be a Godzilla fan, I think, over the last few years, because it's just been nothing but new stuff for Godzilla. So I thought I'd just bring this quick first episode of the Wacky World of Godzilla just to give an overview of the franchise and why you should be excited for new things, or be excited to go back and watch some of the old stuff if you haven't, because I think there's a lot there for anyone to find. There could be something for everyone in the Godzilla franchise, I think, in my opinion. Kid-friendly, goofy stuff, Showa era. More grounded and dark and more kind of dark in tone, Heisei era. You want bombastic, anime-esque kind of crazy action, Millennium era. If you want weird, experimental sci-fi craziness, Reiwa era. There is something for everyone with Godzilla, and I feel like if you want to delve into the depths of the franchise, there's going to be something that you will really enjoy. But yeah, this has been my first episode of the Wacky World of Godzilla. I hope you've enjoyed it. I just thought I'd do a quick breakdown of the franchise, where it's come from, where it's going, and where it's been in between. Anyway guys, as always, thank you for watching. I'll bring you another episode of this series very soon. I've got loads of plans for it. I'm super hyped. Godzilla, baby. The king of the monsters. See you guys later. Bye.